We read a moment ago from John's Gospel and chapter 12. And we're going to spend a few minutes now thinking about Jesus' words in verse 23. John chapter 12 and verse 23, where Jesus said, "The hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified." Jesus said, "The hour has come." And at least on some level, we can all identify with that. We all know what it is like to have an event of some kind loom large in our minds and come closer and closer, and then finally arrive. It may be a happy event. It may be a painful event. It may be an event that fills you with excitement. Or it may be an event that fills you with dread. But the day finally arrives. Somebody says to you, "It's time, we need to go." The hour has come. Jesus Christ had reached such an hour in his life. But while, at least at some level, we can all identify with this, on another level, none of us can identify with this. Because the hour that had come for Jesus Christ was an hour that he alone could face. An hour that he alone could go through. This was the hour that his whole life had been moving towards. In fact, this was the hour that the whole world had been moving towards since the beginning. It was the hour when he would die on the cross and take the pure and good wrath of God that sin deserves in the place of a vast number of people that nobody can count, so that they are saved from that wrath. There were different points earlier in his life when we are told that his hour had not yet come. But now, and 33 years of age, the hour had come. And when Jesus says here, the hour has come, he's not talking about something that would last literally for an hour. He's not talking about something that would last for 60 minutes. He uses the word hour here in the sense of that the time has come. The hours and days that immediately followed were what his whole life had been moving towards. The hour has come. I want to say just two things about that hour. First of all, it was the hour of deep trouble. The hour of deep trouble. As Jesus approached this hour and thought about all that would happen in this hour, he was troubled. He was troubled in his heart. Just a few lines later, a few verses later, in verse 27, he says, "Now my heart is troubled." You can go to the Lake District and stand at the shore of one of the lakes. And it may be a lovely, calm, sunny day, and the water is still. But you can go across another day and stand at the same spot, at the same lake. And it's a windy, it's a stormy day, and the water is not still. The water is troubled. We have a saying, don't we? We talk about troubled waters. Well, Jesus' heart was troubled now that the hour had come. And it's no surprise that his heart was troubled. He was about to be deserted by his closest friends. He was about to be denied by one of them. He was about to be betrayed by another who proved not to be a true friend at all. Jesus was about to experience what King David spoke about in Psalm 55 and verse 12. If an enemy were insulting me, I could endure it. If a foe were raising himself against me, I could hide from him. But it's you, a man like myself, my companion, my close friend, with whom I once enjoyed sweet fellowship as we walked with the throng at the house of God. Jesus was about to be let down by his closest friends. He was about to be taken before the Jewish authorities. At the beginning of John's Gospel, it says that Jesus came to his own. He came to the Jewish people, and his own received him not. And the hour had now come when he would be utterly rejected by his own people. So in chapter 19, when Jesus was on trial, Pilate, the Roman governor, brought him out before the Jewish people and said to them, "Here is your king." But they shouted, "Take him away, crucify him." "Shall I crucify your king?" Pilate asked. "We have no king but Caesar," they answered. And so he was taken by the Roman soldiers, and crucified and killed. And Jesus knew the Old Testament prophecies about this. Jesus grew up reading Psalm 22. Psalm 22 told him what he would suffer when he died upon the cross. And he knew that hour had come. Psalm 22, verse 6, "I'm a worm and not a man, scorned by men, despised by the people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shaking their heads. He trusts in the Lord. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him." Many bulls surround me. Strong bulls of Bashan encircle me. Roaring lions, tearing their prey, open their mouths wide against me. I'm poured out like water. All my bones are out of joint. My heart has turned to wax. It's melted away within me. My strength is dried up like a potsherd. My tongue sticks to the roof of my mouth. You lay me in the dust of death. Dogs have surrounded me. A band of evil men has encircled me. They've pierced my hands and my feet. I can count all my bones. People stir and gloat over me. They divide my garments among them and cast lots for my clothing. That's the hour that had come. Jesus knew that hour had arrived. But most of all, greater even than all the sufferings he would endure from the Jews and the Roman soldiers, he knew that he was about to have the sin of all his people put to his account, and was to receive the holy wrath of God upon that sin. And he knew then how Psalm 22 began. My God, why have you forsaken me?" He knew what the prophet Isaiah said about his death. He was pierced for our transgressions. He was crushed for our iniquities. The punishment that brought us peace was upon him. By his wounds we are healed. He was to be pierced, crushed, punished, wounded. This was a fearful thing, and the hour had come. And Jesus then was troubled. He was troubled that this hour had come. He was so troubled that he could have prayed to be delivered from this hour. Verse 27, now my heart is troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No. It was for this very reason I came to this hour. Though this hour was a desperate hour, an hour of deep trouble, he knew that this hour was what he had come for. He knew that this hour was his calling. He knew that this hour was his duty. And hard as this hour then was, he would do it. He would face it. He would go through it. So it was an hour of deep trouble. Let me just briefly try to apply that before moving on. First of all, are you troubled by an hour that is approaching? Is there's something ahead of you that fills you with dread? And it's coming closer. Jesus Christ knows what that's like. He knows how that feels. He sympathizes and helps his people as such things draw near and arrive. Or then are you feeling the pressure of your calling and duty in whatever area of life that may be? In the home, in the workplace, in the church. There are times, aren't there, when we know what our duty is, we know what has to be done, but we feel the weight of that burden. And we feel a strong pull to walk away from our duty. And again, Jesus Christ knows what that's like. And though he felt the pull to walk away, he did not walk away. He did his duty. He saw it through to the end. And he can help and strengthen you to do the same. So are you troubled by an hour that's approaching? He knows he can help. Are you feeling the pressure of your calling and duty? He knows he can help. Or then, are you troubled by hours that have gone? Are you troubled not just by an hour that may perhaps lie ahead of you and be drawing nearer, but are you troubled about hours that lie in your past? Are you troubled about the way you've spent certain hours in the past? Perhaps in the distant past or maybe in the recent past. Are you troubled by decisions you've made at certain hours? Are you troubled at things you've done or failed to do at certain hours? Are you troubled at past hours of sin? Are there hours that you look back upon that fill you with feelings of guilt and shame? Well, Jesus Christ came to this hour to die and pay the penalty for sin. And through what Jesus Christ did at this hour, there is full forgiveness for all who turn to him and trust in him. The hour has come. Now my heart is troubled. This was an hour of deep trouble. But then secondly, this was an hour of great glory. This was an hour of great glory. As Jesus thought about this hour, and as his heart was troubled as this hour came, he prayed to God his Father, and he prayed that his Father's name would be glorified, down in verse 27 again. Now my heart is troubled. What shall I say? Father, save me from this hour? No, it was for this very reason I came to this hour. Father, glorify your name. That's what Jesus wanted as he went into this hour. He wanted his Father's name to be lifted up, to be magnified, to be given honor and praise. He wanted other people to see how great his God and Father is and to praise him. That was Jesus' great desire every hour of his life. And it was his great desire at the hour of his death that his Father be glorified. Often when we face hours of trouble, our great desire, our great prayer is that we will cope, that we will be okay. But Jesus' great desire, Jesus' great prayer was that God, his Father, be glorified. There are hours, aren't there, in our lives when we need some comfort, when we need some reassurance that what we're doing is right, and we're grateful when people give us that comfort and reassurance. And God the Father is so very kind. And when Jesus prayed, Father, glorify your name, though his heart was troubled, God the Father spoke from heaven with words of comfort and reassurance. Verse 28, Jesus prayed, Father, glorify your name. Then a voice came from heaven, I have glorified it and will glorify it again. The Father assured Jesus that he had glorified his name and that he would glorify his name in this hour. And in going through all that this hour held, Jesus did glorify his Father's name. Jesus was given strength to go to the cross. He was given strength to die upon the cross. In doing that, he glorified his Father. Jesus did everything his Father asked of him. He trusted his Father through it all. He honored his Father in the way that he did it. The Father's name was glorified as Jesus died on the cross. But not only was this an hour of glory for God the Father, it was an hour of glory for Jesus himself. These words in verse 23, Jesus said, the hour has come for the Son of Man to be glorified. Through all that was about to happen to him, Jesus himself would be glorified. Jesus himself would be lifted up and magnified and given honor and praise. That's a strange thing to our ears, isn't it? What do you think of when you think of somebody receiving glory? You think of a sportsman holding aloft a trophy. You think of a musician receiving a standing ovation. You think of somebody going to Buckingham Palace to receive an honor. You don't think of a man bruised and battered, hanging upon a cross until he dies. And yet, this was the hour for Jesus Christ to be glorified. This was the hour of his glory. And he was glorified at the hour of his death because through his death, he paid the penalty for sin. Through his death, many people have come to know God and have eternal life. Jesus spoke about this in the next verse, verse 24. I tell you the truth. Unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it remains only a single seed. But if it dies, it produces many seeds. Jesus' death has produced life for many. Many, many people in many, many places at many, many times. And having done what had to be done at this hour, Jesus rose from the dead. and ascended to heaven and is glorified in heaven, and those who believe in him and are saved by him will share in his glory in heaven. He prayed to the Father in chapter 17 and verse 24, Father, I want those you have given me to be where I am and to see my glory. The glory you've given me because you loved me before the creation of the world. Jesus said, the hour has come. And what an hour it was. The hour of deep trouble, the hour of Jesus' death upon the cross, the hour of his suffering, but also the hour of his greatest glory. And it's because of what Jesus did in that hour that sinful people can know life with God and share the glory of Jesus Christ. It's because of what he did in that hour that sinful people can know his presence with them and his help in their darkest hours. So come to him. Come to Jesus Christ and believe in him. Turn from your sin and turn to him. And receive all the benefits of what he achieved in that hour. And a sign that you've done that is that your great desire then becomes to glorify God and to glorify his Son, Jesus Christ, in every hour that you face.